So, welcome to the Tech Coaches Podcast. I'm Bill.
And I'm Fer. And today we're diving into a huge topic, AI in business. What is it? How are companies using it? And is it something business really need or just hype? All right, Bill. AI is everywhere these days. There are chatbots, there are image generators, and even some TikTok filters. But when it comes to business, what exactly are we talking about?
Well, it's a great question. It's definitely more than the filters and the TikTok items. So, as you know, I like to think about ways to automate business, make it more efficient. So, it can be done with chatbots. A couple of years ago, I had a flat tire, and the entire interaction, and this was a couple of years ago, was done with a chatbot on my State Farm app. And someone came and changed my tire, and I never interacted with anyone until the person came up and met me, which was pretty cool. The other things that are really common, analyzing data. Obviously, a computer can analyze data fairly well. We've got decision-making improvements, and then other things that are related to literally every department inside an organization: accounting, finance, marketing, cybersecurity, even, and predicting future trends, which is where the leadership of an organization will have a role for sure. And for them to use it may be a little interesting because they may not necessarily know how to do prompt engineering, but with the right consulting help, they probably will.
Okay, but would you say this is just a big company thing? Or do small businesses really need AI too?
In my opinion, small businesses will benefit more from AI than some of the large businesses. I've always had a small business, and I can say that we all wear multiple hats. It would be wonderful to have a tool that can take off one or maybe even partially one of those hats. And in fact, I spent, 6 to 8 hours on Sunday doing what would normally take me about a week or more to do, which was really wonderful. So what I think is that if we don't use these things for things like bookkeeping, for brainstorming, marketing, et cetera, we might, as smaller businesses, be falling behind.
So technically, you're saying that it's like having an extra employee, but it's like a digital one?
Yes, so it's like an extra employee from a knowledge standpoint. However, I think what we have to remember is that is a new employee to the business. It has to be trained, it has to be brought up, it has to be taught, let's call it right from wrong, or how we do business. So all of those things are there, and like I mentioned with the hats, it's there to assist you inside a smaller organization and can probably be done very efficiently and with a much lower risk. So what I see long term is that it reduces the chance of burnout in smaller organizations, which is really important because the cost of hiring someone and replacing a person is very expensive. So if you can get these tools to work with you, it can make your business not only more efficient, but also probably create happier employees.
All right, let's get real. What are some ways businesses are actually using AI right now?
Okay, so simplest way, some automation. Now, some people are using this really as a fancier search engine, which is literally the tip of the iceberg for how this can be done. What I can do with one of the tools that I use is I can have it schedule meetings for me with availability and have it match up with people that I need to do meetings with. I can also have it automatically send emails, which I don't recommend. I do recommend, however, that it might be able to help draft a response to an email based on prior conversations with a person, and then you, the person working in the company, review that in your drafts. And then also some of the easier things where we have predefined business rules, it would be something as simple as processing invoices. So let's say Fernanda could approve an invoice up to a certain dollar amount. And then if it's over that dollar amount, then I have to approve it. we can have it automatically route and then literally go into our payment system without ever doing anything other than clicking a yes button, and that's it. Now, the second one is customer service, and I mentioned that when I was talking about my insurance company and how they dispatched someone when I forgot it wasn't a flat tire, it was a dead battery. I did just remember that. So that's a lot. That's really helpful in departments and organizations who have repeated questions that are the exact same thing over and over and over. So I would see that as a chat bot, and whether it's in something like Slack or Teams or even an SMS or WhatsApp tool, these customer service AI tools are really wonderful. Then we get into marketing and sales. That's how I spent most of my Sunday, is by creating some of the materials that we're going to share with you over the course of the next year. And it's amazing what it can do from a data analysis standpoint. If you want it to review visits to your website, to your social media, sales trends, even forecasting, all that can be done. That leads into the fourth item, which is data analytics. And that's where you can move beyond just what I would call spreadsheet type analysis and go into forecasting. And that's where it becomes really valuable. And some of the key executives for setting the direction of the company, if it's a little like a mid-sized organization as opposed to a smaller one, that's where that really becomes important. The other thing that you can do is if you put the data in a system and you want to get into some advanced analytics, you can look at things like customer churn or attrition. So who's leaving? What products are they leaving? Where did they go? And then run an analysis on a competitor. That's another example. And then finally, cybersecurity. This one's really interesting because all of us think about anti-malware, whether it's what would typically be called antivirus, but now some of these tools are getting really sophisticated. And things like how to spot a bad email that now has fewer instances of bad English because the bad guys are using tools like this to get better English. And then what's happening is these cybersecurity tools are helping analyze what might be anomalous behavior or unexpected behavior. And then at that point, they can stop access. They can cut people off. They can do all kinds of things. They can automatically remove an account that hasn't been used in 30 days. So there are some other things that are like that are semi-AI and semi-rules oriented. And the cool part is the AI can help manage and adjust the rules.
Wait, okay, so I'm really surprised because some of the things you just said, I've seen them before and I never knew they were AI. But what surprised me the most is the fact that you can help a business with AI to stop cyber attacks.
Yes. Yeah, so some of the tools that we use, and these start with small businesses and they go all the way up to very large businesses, have AI related activities. And I'm not going to get into the exact definition of the difference between AI and machine learning and some things like that. But we think of it as a local term of AI. And what it's doing is if it notices that, here's a great example. Let's say we have a building and I normally badge into my building at 8 in the morning and I badge out at 5 or 6 at night. Well, if it sees that I have entered the building 2 or 3 times at 11 p.m. and I leave at 1 a.m., it might flag someone and say, hey, why is he coming in at this time? He's normally not in from 11 to 1. So these are things that are real life examples of how security issues can be prevented.
Okay, so now I understand a little bit more about the real value. I mean, it's just not only about convenience, but also about keeping businesses safe.
Yes.
And also, I will say smarter.
Yes, for sure.
So AI sounds amazing, but now I know people have some concerns about it.
Oh, yes.
What will be some of the biggest misconceptions about AI in business?
Well, right now, we all know it's a fairly new technology. So there's lots of what ifs and how do we do this? And there's always that philosophical I don't even know what I would call it, a conundrum. Should we use a tool like this? Just because we can invent it, should we use it? Well, it's here and it's being used. So hopefully the intent is it's being used for good. But there are some legitimate concerns about some things. Some are true and some are not true. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about the top three today. Number one, is AI going to replace my job? So I've heard so many people talk about people going into trade businesses like becoming an electrician or a plumber, et cetera, because those jobs can't be replaced, outsourced, et cetera. And what I believe, and again, this is my personal opinion, is that these tools are not going to replace humans completely in every area. I do believe there will be some jobs that are lost or changed, right? But what I think is that if these tools are used properly, then the tools augment the person who is actually performing a function in the company. So to give you an example, if I were getting 100 emails a day and I could have an AI tool draft potential replies, giving me the context to catch me up with things so that I can actually make a real response better, that's a great use of the technology. It doesn't mean a computer is going to reply to an email for me because, in my opinion, that would be crazy right now. I would not want that to happen unless it was, yes, your meeting is confirmed. That's about it. The other one is it could be too expensive. So one of the things is these AI projects, you can hire a consultant to spend some time with you. If you wanted to talk to me about, hey, Bill, can you talk to us about how we can use AI in our business? And we wanted to have a 90-minute conversation. Then yes, there are people out there like me who are consultants who could have these and you just pay by the hour. But once you start to go on, let's call it the journey of implementing AI in your business, it's going to be something that your internal team really needs to take over and talk about best practices and be given the freedom to experiment. So is it too expensive? No. I've got 2 tools right now and I pay a maximum of $30 a month and I get a ton of usage out of it. It is well worth what I'm spending. So it is not too expensive, that's for sure. And then it's too complicated to set up. Now, again, new tech. Any new tech is going to have some stuff that's very easy, and some of it's going to be a little complicated. So if you really want to try to automate your whole business, you're going to need someone with software development experience. But if you want to use it for how most people are using these tools for brainstorming, for analyzing marketing data, competition, et cetera, all of that can be done with either a free account or something that might cost you $20 or $30 a month. Now, that's generally per user in a team, but again, what I did on Sunday probably would have taken me a week or more and some consultants to do, and I did that in one day with a $20 a month subscription.
So technically, saying on the setup,
yes,
you will say that it's kind of like having a new person coming to work for you, because normally for anyone starting on a new job, they have like a period of training and learning the role in the new work or company, because I mean, you can have experience, but it doesn't mean that it's the experience of working in this company. So it will be kind of like the same thing.
Yes. So depending on what you want to do in your business, you have, what would I call it? You've got a new employee, in essence, like you're talking about, where you need to train it on standard operating procedures, how you do certain things, how certain end of the month processes are done. And the more that you teach a tool like that, what it should be doing, like a brand new employee should get onboarding training, then you're probably optimizing your experience with the AI. And then I don't want to talk about the AI as if it's a person, but if it were a person, you would be making its experience better as well, because you can get better results out of these tools if you actually train it like you're training an employee. If you don't provide that sort of training or customization, then you're just using the raw product, which in most cases is still good. However, it can be better if you take the time to do it. And when you get into custom GPTs, it can get amazing. And we might get into that in a future episode, highlighting a couple of partner companies. because it's quite amazing when you do that.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm not going to give him our like thread to go there because Bill will take hours talking about that.
Yes.
But I think it's really interesting and good to know about it because there are so many spaces that it can be used. I was thinking when you were talking about it, about only on the management side, how easy it could be to use it to create those SOPs if you don't have any, just like taking the time to, as you will teach someone else to teach AI and now have it drafted.
Yes.
So I think that's an amazing thing to do. And for smaller companies, I mean, doing the SOPs take time.
They do.
But what we know and what we've seen of some of the bigger companies is that it gives like a guide for people to work there and it makes the work so much better. So I think it's really great to know. And I mean, keep it in mind for the small businesses.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, take a random fast food chain, and people who start to work in the more popular fast food chains, they are taught how to do things a very specific way, and that allows them to scale and also to have employees come in and become productive very quickly. And so it's just like that. We're looking at it at AI tools that way. If we train them to help us run the business the way we want it run, and then also use it to challenge our assumptions and continue to improve, then I think we win on both sides.
Okay, I love a good success story. Can you share an example of a business that saw huge benefits of working with AI?
Yes. So I've got two because we'll spend time in the future, I'm sure, talking about many more. But online clothing store. So they use their internal knowledge. So they followed this process of what do we need help with, and they found that they were spending a lot of time answering the same customer service questions. So they built a chat bot, and they also used it to analyze sales data. And what happened is they could answer questions much faster using the chatbot. And then if a person, and this again is a best practice, if the chatbot can't do it, that someone can immediately talk to a customer service representative. But that cut down time. And then the other thing is they used it to analyze potential trends for the future. And then the employees could spend more time making customer experience better and also predicting sales. They increased sales by 30% in just a few months. So that's a win for me.
I mean, that's amazing. Now that I think about it, they didn't even like change their work. They just did everything more like efficiently.
Yes.
So technically what they did is that they use AI to work smarter.
Yeah, they got more time back in their day, which is great. And this is where that whole AI human part comes in, is that by using some of these technology tools, they got more time back in their day so they could take care of their customers and prospects even better. All right, now here's one that I like and I have to do myself. I use it to challenge assumptions. So without obviously disclosing all kinds of information about how I talk to a machine, I will say that when I have an idea about the business of the tech coaches, I will use something that I put together in ChatGPT to challenge some of the assumptions that I have and compare our business to some similar businesses to create what I think of as our ideal customer profile and where we should reach out for brand new sales. So you might call it a cold lead where I don't have an intro. But then I also ask it to help me brainstorm related to how to reach out to my friends to introduce the concept of the tech coaches and how they can share this with other people who might need help protecting their technology assets so they can focus on doing their job, spending more time with their family, not stressing out over IT, et cetera, et cetera. So if you use these tools like this, then you can, again, buy that time back in your day, challenge yourself. You just have to be afraid to, or have to be willing to accept that you could be wrong, like really, really wrong.
Some things need to change.
Yes, exactly. So if I were going to say, are you ready to do that? Or if you're interested, just let me know. I do have a prompt that I use for it. So if you want the prompt, just reach out and I can send it to you because it helps me really push myself and what I want to do and how to get better.
Well, I think that last point that you said was a good one because I think it's really interesting that you can use a tool that doesn't have any bias or any human side of like the feelings you may have of being maybe wrong or doing things in a harder way than you could, and using it to be able to kind of analyze your
Yes.
business
Yes.
and see where you could do things better. I think that is amazing because people will pay for consultants to do that and you will pay thousands.
Yes. Yes, it's been great, and it does. Depending on how you do it, it builds up that memory over time, and it can remember some of these things and use it. There are pros and cons to it, of course, like anything, but at the same time, that's been very helpful for me.
I think that is great. I mean, it challenged you and the business to keep growing and
Mhm.
innovating. And I think if people use it in this way, and mostly small businesses, which are the ones that could get the best benefits, it could grow like into a new different like market because
Yes.
it's impressive. All right. So I'm convinced. Let's say I run a business and I want to start using AI.
Mhm.
What should I do or how do I even begin?
Okay, so I've got a roadmap for you, and this roadmap, we've got an order in which we believe would be the right way to do it. But what you'll find is that when you start down this roadmap, you're going to go forward and backwards on a few topics. So think of this as brainstorming and then thinking about the tools that are already used. And also remember, your team is probably using some of these tools right now. So they might have some things to add, and the more comfortable they feel telling stories about that, the more you might see an opportunity to use these tools in your organization. So first, super easy one, identify where you need help. Where are you spending a lot of time? Where are you doing repetitive tasks? What do you think you might be able to automate? What has a huge impact on you? All of those things could be put in a big brainstorming list, Post-its on the wall, and you start looking at where can we automate some of these tasks. So how do I need help? What do I need help with? So that's number one. Number two, we're going to come up with a pilot project of some kind. We're going to start small. We're going to choose an activity, and maybe it's an activity that I do, and maybe Ferd does a separate activity, but at the same time, we're going to start small, and then we're going to go back and monitor and adjust, which we're going to talk about in just a second. So we're going to do that, and mine might be have it draft the emails in the style I write emails as a test. Another one might be if first sending out the marketing message, how do we want to customize the message based on the industry of the person that they're in? So we're going to start small with some things like that. We're not going to try to full on put the throttle down and jam AI down everyone's throat if they.
So you will say technically you have to crawl before you can run?
Oh yes.
Because I think people, and I have to say, I kind of do it myself too. You start wanting to use these apps or tools as if you were an expert, but if you
Yes.
don't even know how to use it, how can you get to that point? And I was actually feeling really connected with what you were saying because when I started using the ChatGPT, like Bill was the one to put me into. He told me like you need to use it more, and I wasn't used to it, and I did feel like I was really confused about what things it could do for me and what it couldn't. And after using it and learning a bit more, I noticed that I can use prompts about if I want a certain feeling or so I think as you were saying, like starting small and taking baby steps
Mhm.
is a great way to not get overwhelmed and feeling
Yes.
like it's not working.
Yes. And a trick that I've learned over 30 plus years of being in IT is if you can get the contrarian in your company to love using one of these tools, it will sell the concept for every other employee. Okay, so let me get to number 3. So choose the right tools. Now, since we have a new industry, let's just call it AI in general, we know that a number of these tools will either be purchased by others or will go out of business. So I don't remember the exact number, but we know approximately the number of car manufacturers in the world right now. But I believe globally there were over 100 when cars first started to be made.
We do.
Yes. So what happens is that these things, and you can think of it like cell phones. There were many cell phone makers, and then they start to get, I mean, it's very few cell phone makers right now. So what I want you to think about is when you choose a tool, choose one that you think is going to be around for a while, unless it's in a niche audience or industry, and it might be worth doing some of those things now. So be prepared for a little bit of tool failure. The other part is to make sure that you understand the protections of these tools. So I'm going to talk about that in just a second. So whether you're using an accounting tool and if it's got some AI built into it, feel free to experiment, but just make sure you understand a little bit about that when you're looking at the tool. And the other part that I'm seeing now that's interesting is some companies are charging more, or they are limiting how much you can do with these AI tools. For example, we use a particular tool and it does some transcription for us. If we go over so many minutes of transcription per month, we pay extra for it. So factor that into the total cost of any experiment that you're going to do. Now, fourth, train your team. Now, the biggest part to me in training your team is to understand what can and cannot be used with these AI tools. Now, later this week, we're going to come out with some blog post that has to do with the top, I believe it's 50 plus tools for different parts of AI and how these tools are used, whether they use your data for learning, whether you own the intellectual property of the output, et cetera, et cetera. You'll be able to read all that in the article, but you need to make sure your team understands that at this point, especially for a small business, I would not put anything that has to do with personally identifiable information, payroll data, no credit card numbers, obviously. Keep those things out of there. De-identify as much as you possibly can. So make sure the team understands that. And then the second one that I think is really important for a team is to understand that it's okay to experiment and fail. Because again, new industry, you've got an opportunity to get ahead and move forward very rapidly with some automation at least. And then also some strategic reports and some things like that. Just encourage people that, hey, if you have to admit something didn't work right, that's okay. The other part, and the final one, is review everything. Because I can tell you that AI is not perfect. These tools are not. They will make mistakes. We have one that I still laugh at thinking about is when we were building some infographics and I had the tool change the language from English into Spanish. And when Fernanda read it, she just started laughing. She was like, this is not how we would say that. So the tools are not perfect. Just make sure that you've got time set aside not only to experiment, but also to have someone review it and make sure that is the proper messaging, or that's how the data actually should be analyzed. The formulas are actually correct, et cetera, et cetera.
And I have to say, you stole the words out of my mouth because I wanted to mention that time too. It was so funny because Bill came really excited. It was when it was barely starting on the infographics.
Yes.
And she was like, look at this. It's already translated. It looks amazing. And it did look really great. Like
it looked great.
The drawing was great, but I was like reading it and there were parts that there were not even words. I told you like, here it just like, It stopped. So I think for translation, it has done really good things, but you need to have someone that does know the language just to make sure that the information is correct. And even in English, we notice it too.
Yes.
But it is something that I think is really important to keep in mind. You always need to double check it, even if it's a 10-page document, because sometimes it can cut stuff. if you like do some modifications, it can remove some parts that you think are really important
Yes.
without you telling it. So just as Bill said, the monitoring part I think is a great part to add.
Yes. You've got to monitor and adjust and tweak the model, tweak the prompt, try it again, ask it to regenerate, etc. And if these are unfamiliar terms to you and you want to learn more about that, just reach out. We'll probably do a little webinar on some of the basics with ChatGPT that I've done before. If you are interested in something like that, just send us a message or comments, and we can put that together and show a little bit more about it.
Okay, so now just trying to set this information down. Technically, it's not about replacing anyone or
Right.
removing any employees. It's just about enhancing or like using it to make your work better, faster, and also, I will say, smarter at times.
Yes, there's no doubt, and you've got, and I'll go back to that whole thing of there's a question that I ask whenever we are on the phone with people wanting to know about something, and that question I ask is, now that we've talked about the topic of our meeting, what have I neglected to ask you that your other clients or prospects typically ask you, and what do you find that they forget about or make assumptions about? Now, I can ask that question of a tool like ChatGPT and it can help me, but a human can know immediately what that is and start to make some answers. And then we get really great information about how we might want to change how we do something. So you can ask questions like that similar in tools like ChatGPT, Claude, or Grok, Gemini, et cetera, et cetera. And I did that the other day with one document where I thought I was finished, and then I remembered to double check and say, what other items should I consider in this document before I finalize it? And there were 8 things, I think, that it generated, and I needed to use 6 of those, and they were really good points. So they are really good tools. They are not perfect. They're not going to replace anybody, at least in my opinion at this point. There will be some people who may have some redundant positions, and AI might be the excuse as to why they're being let go. Whether it's the truth or not, we won't know. But I can tell you right now, there is no way that I could replace a human being with AI at this point. I can just allow the humans on the team to do a little bit more and decrease that amount of burnout potential that we have because we have so many things to do in a small business.
So let's wrap this up. I mean, all this information, it's a lot of information, but it's really interesting. And it's also really good to know as small business owners or being part of the management team because it helps a lot to see in which things it could be really helpful and enhance the team. So as you know, AI in business is not only for big corporations. It's not going to take away the jobs of anyone. And if you know how to use it really well, it can help you a lot.
Yes. So, as she said, it's here to help. I don't know if I would say it won't eliminate some positions. I think there are some positions that could be eliminated or at least jeopardized, and it will cause some people to have to shift how they do business. But if they implement some of these AI tools in their business, it can make them more competitive. And that way they can combine the human element, the creativity, the thinking, the experience, along with some of these digital tools. But if you are just, I don't know, let me just say clocking in and clocking out on a 9 to 5, doing something that a computer could be doing, it definitely could eliminate a position.
And I have a scary question.
Okay.
Will it take over the world?
No, definitely not, and not in my opinion. There are some people that believe we're very close to. I forget the name, but it's basically where the machines can out-program and out-think us. That whole Terminator Skynet thing. If you want to look at on the negative side, but I don't believe we're anywhere near there at this point. So I think we're in good shape.
Okay, so if you're a small business and want to start dipping your feet a little bit more into AI and how to use it, and you don't know where you can start, that's why we're here.
Yes.
If you want to know a bit more or you want any help in how to use certain tools, which ones will be better for you and all that, you can reach us. And I'm going to put the link down below, but also you can look at us on thetechcoaches.com and you can send us a message through there and we can set up a meeting and see how much like we can do for you and we can help you.
Yeah, we can do one-on-one AI related workshops if people want to talk about how to do it both personally and also in their business. And then some of the organizations that might be watching this or some of the people watching this might be in associations and they might want a webinar on it, for example. Just reach out if you're interested in that and we can customize something very similar to this for you. I will say one of the things that Fernanda and I are going to do is we are going to get a teleprompter because we're looking at our screens a little bit more. So this is as we are growing this business, we are going to invest in some teleprompter items. And that's all I've got for today. Thank you very much for tuning in on whatever platform you saw us on. It would be great for you to comment. We would love to see that. Like it, subscribe it, heart it, whatever it might be. She knows more about that than I do. But thank you very much for spending time with us today.
Also, follow us in all of our links. They're going to be below. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have X, LinkedIn, anything you can think of.
Yes.
We have it. And also share with everyone you know, because this is not only for you, it also helps everyone else.
Yes.
And if you want to see more, you'll see us on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.